E 9.13. France's manufacturing owns equipment that costs 50,000 euros when purchased on January 1st, 2017. It has been depreciated using the straight line method based on an estimated residual value of 8,000 and an estimated useful life of 5 years. Instructions. Prepare France's journal entries to record the sale. All of them are sale. Okay, sale of the equipment in these 4 independent situations. Okay, so the first thing that I see here is that they use the straight line method, which makes things way easier for us. So let's just calculate how much would the depreciation per year be using the straight line method. So I'm just putting the cost less the residual or salvage value divided by the useful life of 5 years. That is 8,400 euros per year. But that is per full year. But what we're going to see is that some of these, the dates that we sold them, were not a full year. For example, from January 1st, 2017 to January 1st, 2020, okay, 3 years have passed. But what about May 1st and October 1st? These are not full year depreciation, so we're going to have to take that into consideration. Okay, so let's see letter A. Sold for 28,000 on January 1st of 2020. Since we're going to be dealing with a lot of dates here, I'm just going to go ahead and make a timeline for you, because otherwise it might be a little bit confusing. So okay, so we actually bought the machine on January 1st of 2017, and just make sure that you keep using the same date over different years, which means like be careful if you write like January 1st and then next you write like December 31st or something. It's supposed to be the same date, otherwise you won't be able to see the changes. Okay, all right, it is a 5-year useful life, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. So it's sold for 28,000. Well, we need to know if there is a gain or a loss. For us to know that, we also have to know the full depreciation cost, the accumulated depreciation. Right here, I'm going to write depreciation expense and the book value. Since we bought it on January 17, 2017, until January 1st of 2020, we had 1, 2, 3 complete years have passed. So the depreciation expense is just going to be 8,400 times 3. That is 25,200. This is my accumulated depreciation, my depreciation expense. But we also need to know the book value, right? So the book value is just the cost minus the depreciation up to this point. So it is 50,000 minus this 25,200. The book value is 24,800. Okay, what does that tell us? That tells us that if I sold this machine for more than 24,800, I have a gain. If I sold it for less than 24,800, I have a loss, because this is the current value of my machine. How much did I sell it for? I sold for 28,000, right? So I have a gain on disposal, and my gain is going to be about 4,000, right? Like 28,000 minus 24,800, something. Yeah, 3,200. That is my gain. Okay, now we have to make the entries. Just one detail before I make the entries. Every time we're dealing with selling a machinery, normally, if you have a full year depreciation, that means like if the date is like that January 1st of a specific year, you just have to make one entry. But if the depreciation happens at, for example, here we have May 1st or October 1st, you actually have to make two entries. One entry is to update the depreciation until that point, and the other one is to record the actual selling. Since the first one we're just dealing with January 1st, we just have to make one entry right now. So on January 1st of 2020, we can record the selling of this machine. Well, every time we sell something, we have to get some cash, right? So cash goes up. And we're gonna get kind of rid of this equipment, right? Because we're gonna sell it, so we won't have it anymore. So equipment goes down, okay? Now, here we're gonna have accumulated depreciation equipment, right? Why is this here? Because accumulated depreciation, it is a credit balance. That means that it is a minus and a plus. And this position is a minus. So what it means is that originally somehow, somewhere you would have a T account for accumulated depreciation. And since it is a minus and the plus, just like I said, over here, all of the increases happen. So all of the depreciation that I had during the year would be recorded here. But now I am selling this equipment. I'm going to get rid of this equipment. So I have to deduct all of this. I have to cancel, get rid of this account. That's why we are debiting it. So this is why the position is like this. And we're going to have a gain, right? The gain is going to be on the credit position. So gain on disposal of plant asset. Don't write it like me, write the full name, okay? Let's see the numbers. The equipment is just the original cost. It was 50,000. The gain we calculated. It was 3,200. The accumulated depreciation, how much was that? 25,200. And the cash, how much did you actually sold it for? You sold for 28,000. So these numbers should be the same. Let me check. Yeah, they are the same. Okay, so that is correct. Okay. Letter B. Let's see. What do we have? Sold for 28,000 on May 1st of 2020. Okay, so just like I said, two entries, right? One to update depreciation, the other one to record the selling. Here we are going to have 1, 2, 3 years, right? Plus somewhere here, because it's May 1st. So since this is the full year depreciation, what we are going to do is we're going to have 8,400 times 3, because 3 full years have passed, plus May, right? January 1st. So January, February, March, April, May 1st. May 1st. Okay, so actually 4 years have passed, right? Because until January to February, we just count like February. So it would be 4 months out of 12. And this is multiplied by the full value, right? Because this is the value of 1 year. This is the value of 1 full year, but only 4 months have passed. So we have to multiply this. Over here, this is 25,200, and we're gonna add to the other value. Okay, this is approximately 2,800. This number is important. Why is that? Because this is the depreciation of the full 3 years, right? But over here, remember that I said that we have to update depreciation? This depreciation we have to update from the beginning of 2020 until May 1st of 2020. This portion represents this part of the year, right? Because it represents only the 4 months. So this is the value that we would use when we are updating the depreciation in the first entry, okay? Let's just keep that in mind for now. Okay, let's calculate the full depreciation expense. That is 28,000. Depreciation expense or accumulated depreciation. But now we need to calculate the book value, which is just the cost of the equipment minus all of this accumulated depreciation so far. That is 22,000. Okay. So if I sold for more than 22,000, gain. If I sold for less, loss. How much did I sell it for? I sold for 28, so there is a gain. And how much is that gain? Just 28,000 minus this 22,000. What is the difference? It is 6,000. So that is my gain. Okay, now we are ready to make the entries. Like I said, first entry always to update depreciation. The first entry is just to like tell you how much have I depreciated this asset from the beginning of the year until now. It's just update this depreciation. So it's just going to be depreciation expense at the bottom and followed by accumulated depreciation, right? Equipment or whatever. And this is the value for that year. And this year, like I said, we have 2,800. This is the first entry that we make. The second entry that we make is to record selling the equipment. So like before, cash has to go up because I'm selling, and the equipment has to go down because I won't have this equipment in the future anymore. It is a gain, just like the other one, right? So the positions are going to be the same for the same reasons as before. So I'm just going to copy accumulated depreciation equipment followed by gain on disposal of plant asset. Equipment originally costed 50,000. Our gain in this case was 6,000. The depreciation up to this point was 28,000. And how much did I get when I sold it? 28,000, correct? Yeah. Let me check if the numbers add up. Yep, that is correct. Okay, so this is the first entry and the second entry. Good. Moving on to letter C. Sold for 11,000 on January 1st of 2020. Well, this date is the same as letter A, right? So we kind of already did this a little bit. So for letter C, we actually know that the depreciation expense is the same. So it is 25,200. The book value is going to be the same as well, 24,800. So it is easier because we can know whether we have a gain or a loss right away. The book value at the point was 24,800. So if I sell it for more, there's a gain. If I sell it for less, there is a loss. I sold it for 11,000, so there is clearly a loss. A loss on disposal of plant asset. So for us to calculate the loss, we just have to have the book value amount, which was 24,800, minus how much I actually got when I sold it. That is 13,800. This is the loss that I have. Okay. Since this is January 1st, just one entry, correct? Just to record the selling of the asset. So we're going to have one big entry. Cash goes up, equipment goes down, like before. Okay. Now, accumulated depreciation equipment has to have the same position as before, for the exact same reasons, because even though I'm not gonna get extra money, I don't have a gain when selling this asset, I'm still going to sell it, right? So this account, this previous T account that I had prepared to record all of my depreciations have to disappear, right? I have to get rid of it because I'm going to get rid of this equipment. So this is why the position is still the same. But however, we're going to have a loss, and when you have a loss, you have to debit it. So it is loss on disposal of plant asset over here. Why is that? Because when you have loss on disposal and gain on disposal, loss on disposal, the increases happen on the debit side and the decreases happen on the credit side. For gain, it is the opposite. The decreases happen on the debit side and the increases happen on the credit side. So it is on this position is basically like saying, okay, my loss is increasing because I am recording this loss. And over here, my gain is increasing because I am recording a gain. This is the logic behind it. So just be careful with the signs. 50,000 for the cost. The loss that we had was 13,800. The accumulated depreciation up to this point was 25,200. And the cash, we sold it for cheaper, right? We sold it for 11,000. Let's see if these numbers added up together will equal 50,000. Yep, that is correct. Okay, letter C. Okay, moving on to letter D. Let's see, what do we have? Sold for 11,000 on October 1st of 2020. Same thing, right? So this is October, so it's not January 1st. So two entries, one to record expense and the other one to record the actual selling of the asset. Okay, all right. So until October 1st of 2020, we are right here in 2017, right? So 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and something. So it is the same logic as letter B. First, we are going to multiply the value for 1 full year, which we figured out before it was 8,400 times 3, plus how many months have it passed? Well, from January 1st to October 1st, you're going to have February 1st, right? February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 9 months have passed. 9 months out of 12 times this amount of the full year value. Okay. How much is that? The first portion is 25,200, and this second portion is 6,300. Now, just like letter B, this is the amount for the full depreciation, the full year depreciation, and this is the amount only until October 1st. So our first entry is going to have this number over here. Okay, let's see how much our full depreciation expense was. It was 31,500. Okay. What about book value? Original cost minus this accumulated depreciation. That is 18,500. Okay. I sold it for 11,000, which is less than this book value, which means that I have a loss. How much is my loss? Just subtract it from the value that you sold it. I had a loss of 7,500. Okay, now I am ready to make my entries. Okay, October 1st of 2020. First entry, always to record the depreciation expense up to that point, to update that. So we're gonna have depreciation expense followed by accumulated depreciation, equipment. Until October, only 6,300 have been depreciated. First entry done. Second entry is going to be the entry to record the selling. So cash goes up, equipment goes down. Accumulated depreciation, the position is the same as before. And there is a loss. Remember that the position for the loss is over here. We have to debit it. Okay. My loss in this case was 7,500. My accumulated depreciation was 31,500. And my cash, how much did I sold it for? I sold it for 11,000, right? So let's see if I add these numbers together and subtract this one, I get 11,000 or not. Okay, here I get 39,000. So 50,000 minus 39,000, that is exactly 11,000, which means that this is correct.